Hey everybody, it's Taylor from Bovey Farm Rabbitry, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a showmanship presentation for 4-H. Okay, so when you start your showmanship presentation, first and foremost, so when you carry your rabbit into the ring, you have to carry your rabbit into the ring. So you're going to want to make sure your rabbit's head is underneath your armpit, so that way the rabbit is secure and you carry the rabbit in properly. And then the judge will see that and know that he doesn't like it right now. He'll know that you know how to handle your rabbit. And then you're going to set your rabbit down, and you're going to make sure that you start on the left side of your rabbit. You always want to start on the left side when you're presenting, because this is where your tattoo is. You always have a tattoo in the left ear. In professional shows, if you have a tattoo in the right ear, they'll most likely disqualify the rabbit because it's not in the correct ear. Why the left ear? I don't know, but that's just what ARBA does. So, how I usually start my presentations, I usually say, "Hello, my name is Taylor Arntz, and I am part of the Lucky Livewires 4-H Club, and my exhibitor number is number 47. And I don't have my number on today, obviously. So then after I say that, I usually start with a little bit of the history about the Netherland Dwarf, which is the breed I have here. But first, I say this is my senior black otter Netherland Dwarf buck, Kenny B. And then, you usually want to say like whether it's a senior, junior, and the breed of your rabbit. So that way they know who your rabbit is, and if you want to include the exact age, that's your choice. But then I go into a little bit about the history. So I say the Netherland Dwarf was first appeared in the U.S. in 1965, but didn't appear in their first ARBA show until September of 1969 in Canada at the 46th ARBA convention, and the breed was first recognized in 1969. So that's a little bit about the history. Then I go through the colors, the different colors of Netherland Dwarfs. So I think there are 5 different groups of colors of Netherland Dwarfs. Your first group is yourself, which would be colors like your roux or your black. And I usually go through about 2 colors per group because the Netherland Dwarfs have a lot of different colors within the breed. So then I say the second group would be your shaded, which would be like your tortoiseshell or your Siamese sable. Your third group is your agouti, which would be colors like your chestnut or your chinchilla. Your fourth group which would be your tan pattern, which would be colors like your black otter, like Kenny B is. And there are 4 different colors of black otters. So your chocolate otter, lilac otter, blue otter, and black otter. And your 5th color group is your ALV, which is any other variety, which would be colors like your Himalayan or your broken. So then after that, I'll say what I feed my rabbit. So I feed Kenny B 16% protein, if that's correct. I think that's correct. 16% protein Purina Show rabbit feed. And then after I kind of do that kind of introduction, then I'm going to say, now I'm going to show you the dimensions of my rabbit. So you always want to start on the left side, like I said before. Always the left side, because that's the side the tattoo is on. So I say this is, and I usually kind of lay them out a little bit so that way they get a better, you want them, in your introduction to your showmanship presentation, you want to make sure the rabbit's posed so that way the judge can kind of get a look at what your rabbit looks like. And then I kind of lay them out a little bit so that way I can continue with my showmanship presentation. So I say this is the left side of my rabbit, and what you want to do is start from the butt to the eye. So you want to start kind of on the side, and then you want to go this way. So this is the left side of my rabbit. Notice how his sides have no bumps or blemishes, and you kind of want to feel along the side. And then you can choose whether to do eye or ear first. I think ear and then eye is more organized, but this is whatever you feel is more organized for your presentation. So this is my rabbit's ear, my rabbit's left ear. Notice he has a tattoo in his ear. His tattoo is KB, and you can see the KB in his ear right there. And then you want to say, notice how he has no mites, ticks, or any other parasites, and his ear is clean. And you want to kind of just swipe the ear like that, nice and gentle, and show the judge that the rabbit's ears are clean. So that means the rabbit's cleaning itself, or if your rabbit's ears are dirty, you can clean them as well. Then this is the left eye of my rabbit. His eye is free from matter or bacteria, and he has no cloudiness in his eye. Cloudiness is when there is blindness in the eye, and usually if you say that there's no cloudiness in the eye, you want to explain to the judge, even though they probably know, you want to let them know you know what you're doing. So then you want to say, like, there's no cloudiness in the eye, which means that the rabbit could possibly be blind. So what I do for my Netherland dwarfs, I say his eye is bright and bold in proportion to the head. So like, you want to make sure that it's in proportion and that everything is even across the Netherland dwarf. And then what you're going to do is you're going to nicely pick up so their nails don't drag, and you're going to flip the rabbit. Because you don't want the nails to drag, because it could break a rabbit's nail or something like that, and that could harm the rabbit. So you want to make sure you don't harm the rabbit in any way. So then I say, this is the right side of my rabbit. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. His side has no bumps or blemishes. His ear is clean, and he doesn't have any mites, ticks, or any other parasites, and he should not have a tattoo in this ear. His eye is bright and bold and large in proportion to the head, and he has no bacteria, matter, or any matter of any sort, or any cloudiness in the eye. And since you already said on the left side, since you already explained cloudiness, you don't need to explain it again. And then what I do, I've seen some people do it other ways, but I go to the front next. So I say, this is the front side of my rabbit. His ears are erect, and his ears do not exceed 2 inches. His ears are not scissored or V'd, and he has a good ear set. His eyes are a good distance apart, and his nose is clean, and he does not have any matter or bacteria in his nose, and it is free from the snuffles. And snuffles is when they get a bunch of mucus and bacteria in their nose, and it causes their nose to run. And then I say, then I kind of explain how you can tell if your rabbit has the snuffles. A way you can tell if your rabbit has the snuffles is that the sides of his paws are wet from rubbing. So then after that, you go to the rump. So I go to the rump next, and although there's not a lot there's actually a lot you could say about their rump and stuff like that. So you say, he is nice and full to his hindquarters. This rump of my rabbit, he's nice and full to his hindquarters. He gives a nice rollback condition. I believe it would be a DQ if he had a flyback condition, because some rabbits, some Netherland dwarfs can display that. I'd have to double check my book. And then you want to mention his tail. His tail is well furred and is not broken, and he does not have wiry tail. So you want to make sure, you want to also check the tail. Never forget the tail, because the tail, it's really important. Even though on Netherland dwarf the tail doesn't have any points towards the standard, you still want to bring it up, because a broken tail can DQ the rabbit. So then you want to make sure it's well furred, that it's the right color, and then you can also mention, like, and when you're saying whether that they have a rollback condition, you want to feel like that so that the judge can see the rollback condition. And then next, after that, you go to the underneath side of your rabbit. So this is the underside of my rabbit. His teeth are good, and he does not have malocclusion or budded teeth. And then you're going to want to explain what those two things are. Malocclusion is when the bottom teeth overlap the top teeth, and that is a disqualification on the rabbit. And budded teeth is when the top teeth and bottom teeth are directly over each other, and that is also a disqualification. And as you can see, he does not have a dewlap, given that he is a buck, and the standard of the rabbit does not call for a dewlap, and that's a disqualification on your rabbit. And you want to know that, because if you do have a rabbit that has a dewlap and you show it, it's gonna get disqualified in an ARBA show. So you want to make sure you know that. For his feet, so his limb is not broken, and then you want to count the nails. He has 1, 2, and you want to reveal each of the nails and count each of them. 3, 4, 5 toes and toenails, including the dew claw. None of them are mismatched, miscolored, broken, or missing. So mismatched would basically be if, say you had, it's this second nail right here. Say if you had the second nail right, if you say you had the third nail right here, that was miscolored. It was light colored or white or clear instead of dark. That's a DQ. But if you have this nail, the second nail of this foot, and the second nail of this foot, I believe, it would not be a disqualification, if I remember correctly. And then you go through the other foot. And you can note some stuff as you go along. You can bring up some side notes for the judge and stuff, so that way they know what you know what you're talking about. As you can see, his other foot, his limb is not broken, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes and toenails. None of them are mismatched, miscolored, broken, or missing. And then you want to feel along his belly. To show his belly has no bumps or blemishes. And then what you can always do, you can blow on his belly to make sure that they have the right undercolor. I believe otters are supposed to have a slate blue kind of color, if I remember correctly. And just show that he has that color. And then what I do is when I show the back feet, I kind of tuck the rabbit right in the crease of my arm, so that way it's more comfortable for me and more comfortable for the rabbit. These are my rabbit's back feet. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and toenails. None of them are mismatched, miscolored, broken, or missing. And as you can see, he does not have sore hocks. Sore hocks would be when he has a bare patch on his foot. And that would be a disqualification, I believe. That would be a disqualification on the rabbit. And his limb is not broken. His other foot, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and toenails. None of them are mismatched, miscolored, broken, or missing. And he does not have sore hocks. And his limb is not broken. And then, something you have to make sure you do, you have to make sure you sex your rabbit. But before we go to that, something that I have especially learned, I'm going to teach you, and you want to bring this up, and then the judge knows that you know what you're talking about, like I said before. And as you can see, he is not cow-hocked. Cow-hocked would be if his feet were making a V, and that would mean that he was pinched in his hindquarters, and that is a fault on the rabbit. And he's not pigeon-toed. Pigeon-toed is basically them facing the opposite way, and I think that's also an indication that they are pinched. But he does not have that. As you can see, you want your rabbit's feet to be parallel, and that shows that they have good hindquarters. If they're really close together, like that far apart, which I'm not sure his exact, when they're relaxed you can tell better, but if they're like that, then he has narrow hindquarters. You want him to have wide feet, like set like he does. And then, hold on. And then, as you can tell, he is a buck. So when you sex your rabbit, you want to take these 2 fingers to pull down his tail and then kind of reveal it like that with your thumb, forefinger, whatever you choose to do, and that's how you sex it. And if you're just getting into rabbits and you don't know how to sex a rabbit, a way you can tell, so I'm going to give you this guy for an example. See, he kind of has a donut shape, and it kind of pops out a lot easier. Usually does, their genitals don't pop out as easy. It pops out really easy, but sometimes does, pop out easy. But, well, you remember, donut for a boy, taco for a girl. And then you're going to set him back down, try to get him back on his left side. And then you can choose to add a little tidbits at the end or something like that. But you probably want to make sure your rabbit's nice and posed, everything. Then you say, that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions? So that's kind of how you do a showmanship presentation, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more about just a couple other things. Questions. After your showmanship presentation, the judge is going to ask you questions. You're going to probably want your rabbit pose for this, and he just is sometimes picky and doesn't want to pose for me. So the judge will ask you questions like some questions I got at Nebraska State Fair last year were a couple questions. So, how many days before a doe kindles do you put her nest box in? And the correct answer would be 3 days before. Another one that I missed one question last year at the state fair, and it was, what is the most important nutrient in a rabbit's diet? I said protein, but it turns out you think nutrient. So you would think protein, stuff like that. But no, it's actually water. Water is the most important nutrient in a rabbit's diet. So they'll ask you questions, or they'll ask, what is the current COD for your breed? A COD is a certificate of development, and that is person who has a certificate of development, they are working on a color, so they have to go through this whole process so that they can hold a COD, so a certificate of development for a color. So those are some things that you need to know for 4-H showmanship presentation for rabbits. And if you and I really and last year I had been studying personally very hard on my rabbits, and I had been continually studying and all that other stuff. And practice does make perfect. So practice, 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 because I practiced a lot last year, and I got champion senior showman in 4-H and reserve showman in FFA. So it really does help to practice. So if you keep practicing and you watch this video, you're going to keep getting better and better. And do research on your breed. If you do research on your breed, you're going to become so much better. And if you stick around a little bit, I'm going to explain a little bit about those breeder clubs. Okay, so if you stuck around, thank you, and I'm going to show you those breeder clubs I was talking about. So you can't see from the cover what it is, but but when you become a part of a breeder club, so the ANDRC, so the American Netherland Dwarf Rabbit Association, Club, sorry, American Netherland Dwarf Rabbit Club. So when you become a part of that club, you'll get a book like this. You'll get a binder and a book that tells you everything you need to know about the breed. So if we go here, you just flip to a random page. It has an index of, so if you're looking for stuff, it has like some spotlight stuff about people who have raised amazing Netherland dwarves. If you go to the table of contents right here, you can say you want to look for, let's say the color varieties of Netherland dwarves. So I'm going to go to page 32. I'm going to go to page 32 and boom. So this is, so if you go to page 32, and your first one you see are your roos. And at the top, says what group it is. So like I talked in my showmanship presentation, colors. So if you're becoming a member of like the ANDRC, this is what your book's going to look like. And no matter what breed association you become a part of, they're going to give you a guidebook. It talks about the history of the rabbit. So like the history of the Netherland dwarf, it talks about history. And when I mentioned the history, I gave a little tidbit in here about when the breed was founded and that kind of stuff. And like I said, colors. like I said, there are a lot of different colors of Netherland dwarves. So right here, I'm on group 3, a goodie. And this is an opal, and it'll tell you, I find the ANDRC book especially helpful because it guides you through what colors, recommended breeding combinations to avoid non-showable colors. It guides you it kind of guides you through what you should breed to. So black, blue, chestnut, opal, black otter, and blue otter. So you don't want to breed it to anything else besides those colors. And look at backgrounds too. And so when you become a member of any breeder club, especially the ANDRC, and just any of those clubs, so I'm a part of 3 different breeder clubs, including the ARBA, so I'm part of HLRSC, which is the Holland Lop Club, NALRC, which is the Lionhead Club, and then ANDRC, which is the Netherland Dwarf Club, and then I'm also a member of the American Rabbit Breeders Association Club. So, these clubs, so like I said, they'll give you a guidebook, a membership card, and they'll give you a subscription to their quarterly magazine. So I highly recommend, if you're just starting out and you're wanting to know, I want to know more about my rabbit, become a member of the breeder clubs. You have a Polish, become a member of the Polish club. You can learn so much. But if you're like, I don't want to have a membership or anything, you can get the Standard of Perfection book. And since it's 2020, they'll probably update the Standard Perfection book, and I did not bring it out here with me. But the Standard Perfection book, it basically has all 49 approved breeds, and it tells you their faults, their DQs. Some of them say colors. So I recommend, and that's how I studied, and that's how I learned how to do my showmanship presentations, was from these breeder clubs and from the Standard Perfection book. So I highly recommend becoming a member of those, and you'll definitely do really well on your showmanship presentation. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see, and give us a big thumbs up if you thought this video was super helpful. And tell your friends, share this video with your friends, and who's ever in 4-H, FFA, any of that stuff. If they want to learn how to become better at showmanship, or just learn how to do showmanship. I hope you guys really learned something from this, and I'll see you next time.